There we go. Hey everybody, hope you guys have all been having a very good week so far. I know Bitcoin has not been the best over the last 3 days, but we actually are, in the most part, still in a pretty good spot here, I have to say. We're at 27,303. You've definitely seen some bears start to parade themselves, I would say, on TikTok and Twitter. And what do you call it's been a pretty interesting week. Tonight, since I didn't get a chance to stream today earlier like I wanted to because I got busy with some stuff with Loki and my mom's temporary caregiver. I'm going to be streaming here for a while, and we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. We'll be doing charts and stuff like that, kind of watching to see what's popping off the most out of a lot of these different coins and assets, and then just kind of going over some news here, going over Twitter to see what else we can find about what's going on in the sphere here. And if any of you guys, excuse me, want to talk about anything else, please let me know. I have been putting out a lot more videos lately, so what I'm going to try to do, starting back up to Monday here, I'm going to try to stick with a 6 p.m. Pacific time schedule, because I know because of all these videos I've been putting out, whether they're short content or I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing like short videos where I just talk to you guys. I tried to do a few before, but I just lost time for it. Pretty soon you're going to see more of those. It's going to be hard for you guys to get notifications when it already is hard enough for you guys to get to notifications. So just be aware of that. I'll start streaming around 6 o'clock to make it a little bit more consistent for you guys. And if I do another stream, it'll be something more spontaneous, something more in the morning hours of the day, okay? Now, hey, Monica, hope you're doing very, very well. So today, guys, we continue to drop back down. We ended up kind of finding our next level of support here. I thought we might have some type of short bounce, and I guess we did, but the bounce only lasted for what, like 8 to 12 hours. It really wasn't a good enough bounce. A lot of you guys' stop loss is probably hit over the past 24 hours or so, about 16 hours or so, who knows. But now here you guys can definitely see that we're trying to test out the 50-day moving average. And then from here, really, it's just trying to hold this general zone. Maybe if I were to do something more like, for now, let's just kind of go down here. You guys may have your support levels be a little bit different. I'll make this a bit larger just so I can drag it. There we go. You know, there's a support level right around here matching up with that 50-day moving average. If you guys wanted to buy again to try to make a little bit of a swing, this would be another opportunity. I think the long-term shorts are probably still going to be holding on here, even if we do have a bounce. Again, usually when we're in these types of situations, you guys know this, we just tend to have some bumps along the way, but the overall trend is still a downtrend here, at least in the 4-hour charts, the daily charts, stuff like that. We may have an opportunity to pop and then start moving back down here over the next few days. We'll see how that one works out. Over the weekend here, we do have a little bit of a chance of higher volatility since the stock market's not there, not open. And something I think that's been pretty interesting for us. And let me know if my mic sounds okay. I moved my mic around at this point because I'm getting a new mic here pretty soon. So I have my mic in this weird downward angle right now, which is blocking my computer, but I can see through the mic somehow. But yeah, so I am curious to see how Bitcoin works out, because again, you guys know me. Normally, before this kind of big bullish move took over for us, we saw that Bitcoin and the NASDAQ were pretty correlated. Some people might say Bitcoin and the S&P were correlated. Regardless, you guys usually saw some pretty similar moves. Well, now, again, we've seen Bitcoin boost up without the NASDAQ, and now we're seeing Bitcoin go back down without the NASDAQ going back down. The NASDAQ continues to go sideways. For 2 whole weeks, we have done nothing as far as the NASDAQ is concerned. Even with earnings, nothing. Dow Jones, whole bunch of nothing, but we did make at least a small move up here. SPY made a small move up, kind of like the Dow, but pretty much just done a whole bunch of nothing over the past, I don't know, a few months now. What is this? This is back over here in February. Yeah, so it's May. It's been a freaking while, guys. No, it's April, excuse me. It's been a few months of us pretty much doing nothing and trading in this range. Now, if you think we are going to be trading back into this type of similar range, you would expect this to be the high point and then us continuing to come back down over time, just like what happened over here. As we hit this range, we consolidated for a couple weeks, and then we started to come back down. Earnings may pop us back up above it, but we really have a few weeks before about 2 weeks, before we really have to start dealing with this rate hike thing. I think what's a concern for us right now is this, I don't know what you want to call it, debt ceiling. I'm not even spelling ceiling right. Why debt ceiling? Is there Is there one? Routers. Okay, we'll go here. Yeah. So basically, this debt ceiling thing is something that's starting to get a little bit more traction. Not like they're doing more stuff to figure it out, but more like people are starting to get more and more worried about it. We had talked about this months ago, how they always wait until the last minute to try to pass anything because they think that they have all this extra leverage that comes along with that time because everybody is forced to make a deal. Otherwise, something really bad happens. If I was Kevin McCarthy or Jeffries, I think that's the Democratic leader, they're probably going to postpone it, or going to do a short bill to keep the government funded for like another 2 weeks while they work it out or something like that. But just get ready for some more excitement happening here over the next few weeks, everybody. And hey, babyfish, happy to see you back, man. Dump it, dude. Shorts definitely are still control over the past few days, that's for sure. I will say bulls have been trying to shake the bears out a little bit though. There have been some really good shakes here. Check this one out. I know this is from a few days ago, but before this thing really started to roll, there was a beautiful entry position over here. Then boom, pop back up, and then we took another dump here. Shorts have had to work a little bit harder than they might otherwise have to. Normally we don't have to deal with it this much, but definitely people are trying to dump it right here. And hey, babyfish, Nasdaq distributing at the top. Pretty much looks like that at this point in time. I was thinking maybe there's an opportunity for us to break out, but there hasn't really been any good news that would suggest that, hey, we really need to break out from here. I think this craze as far as AI is concerned, that's been pushing up AMD and NVIDIA, I think it's kind of running out of steam, and I think that was a large part of what we were seeing, guys, as far as the Nasdaq just booming up here. And hey, Medi, happy to see you back, man. Hey, Larry. I'm slaying dragons with my Bitcoin short ETF from 1950 to 2170 calls. Ooh, $30 January 2024 with $2 now, $3.25. Looks like that is slaying dragons. Geez. And hey, Aaron, not surprised that the debt ceiling issue is becoming more talked about. When you're broke and can't afford rent, you get more and more stressed the closer you get to the rent day. Yeah. It's even more extreme than that. I've heard a lot of metaphors for this or similarities. It's like you make $100,000 a year or something like that, but you have $1 million left in debt, but you also want to take out another like $500,000 credit card, right? So America is going to go bankrupt sometime here in the future. There's no way we don't go bankrupt. Maybe we can devalue our currency so much, but I mean, guys, you don't want the dollar devalued too much. Like, it's good to a certain effect, but it does have, like, there are consequences to such a thing. So I don't think we're going to be able to pay our the interest on our debts back. Now this is not like happening in the next year or 2 years. This is further down the line, but yeah, and interest on its debt. Right. So interest costs represented about 8% of the total federal outlays in 2022. By 2023, the share will rise to 14% and will exceed programs such as defense and Medicaid. Imagine us paying more to pay for our debt than we're paying on the military. And you know how much we love to pay our military and how much we love to put into our social programs. Just imagine that, though. Like, here, I'll use the alpha version for now because I think this one only goes back to 2021, right? Since we have this two-party system, there's a weird thing that happens, like a side effect, if you will, where we don't have a consistent plan in place to kind of guide us going to the future. We're kind of left, right, topsy-turvy, turning all over the place. Well, that wasn't an answer. By 2032, the interest cost of the United States, yeah, I know, what's that? Okay, by 2032, it's a projection. So about 3 billion per day. So that means if it's projected to triple, that means I can maybe infer that the triple, reverse that triple to divide by 3. Maybe it's like $1 billion a day right now. I mean, my gosh, just like, I don't think we can tax our way out of this, right? There's going to be something that has to happen where we change up our spending habits. And honestly, I don't even think we have to cut social programs, or I don't think we have to really necessarily like cut defense and things like that. I think what actually has to happen for our economy is, frankly, we just have to stop the wasteful spending within these departments. So you guys know about the story in California where like they built up like 20 or 30 tents or something like that, but it costs millions of dollars to do tents, right? Just put tents out. I don't exactly know whether that was some type of corruption or it was just really negligence on the part of the local government, but there's a lack of common sense when it comes to spending money. And, I there has to be some way to remedy that. I'm hoping that AI can have a role in actually balancing the budget. Like here, hold on a second. Oh, what am I doing? Duh, 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 duh. I don't know if it. I probably didn't have such a good prompt here, but I would love to see the Fed actually balance the budget, or balance the federal budget. Let's see, increase revenue. Let me put this microphone down here so I can talk regularly. How does this work? Okay, there it goes. Mic turned off for just a second. I normally don't move this microphone at all, but I'm doing it now because I'm about to get a new microphone in a few days. There we go. Let's see how good this is. So increase revenue and implement a progressive tax system, increasing the tax rate on the high income earners. Oh, geez, this is what they're talking about. That's just why Elon wants to make that, what do you call, truth AI? I don't know what he wants to call it. Close loopholes and reduce tax evasion to increase tax revenue. This is important right there. That one's important. Introduce a carbon tax or environmental taxes to generate revenue while promoting sustainable practices. I mean, carbon tax. I don't know enough about the environment to actually say if this is good or not. This one kind of seems like it was bias built in by the engineers. This one seems like it's kind of bias built by the engineers. But closing loopholes, I think is fine. I don't think it's bad to increase the tax on the high income earners, but it's going to be, they got to be careful how they do it. I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. This carbon tax thing, I don't know enough about it. But here, reduce spending, evaluate defense spending, consider reducing expenditures on non-essential military programs, reform entitlement programs such as Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid to ensure their long-term stability while maintaining benefits for those in need. So, yeah, it's not too bad. And promote economic growth. Invest in infrastructure projects that create jobs and stimulate the economy. So basically, I'm pretty sure there might have been some like intern at the White House that actually used ChatGPT back when it was new and gave it to the White House, because this is all pretty much stuff the White House is trying to do. Remember, they're trying to raise taxes on the rich. They're trying to close loopholes. I agree with that one. They are trying to do carbon taxes and stuff. Remember, they just did a tax on if you have good credit score, you get taxed more if you buy a house. It's really crazy, but I mean, yeah, it's wild. Implement a financial transaction tax and high frequency trading to generate revenue. Oh, this one's kind of interesting right here. I don't know if that one would pass. I mean, it wouldn't pass, but it is interesting. Defense spending, they're not doing that because we're gearing up for a boxing match with China, and we're pretty much like single-handedly paying for the Ukraine war. So that one we're not doing. But I think we wanted to do it before the Ukraine war. Reform entitlement programs, nobody wants to do this. I've heard Republicans and Democrats, for the most part, nobody wants to do that. Reform entitlement programs such as nobody's going to do that. Implement measures to control healthcare costs, such as negotiating lower drug prices, doing that. This was definitely made by a liberal, but that's fine. A lot of this stuff does make sense. Eliminate or reduce subsidies for industries that do not align with national priorities or have negative environmental impacts, such as fossil fuels. Okay, this is made in 2021. This is before the energy crisis. I don't think it realized there was an energy crisis going on. So this is 2021, remember, guys. Promote economic growth and invest in infrastructure. Yes, they did that. support education and workforce development programs. I think we invested in education, but I don't think we necessarily did a good job in investing in education, because everywhere I see, teachers are still complaining about not getting paid enough, not having enough resources. And it seems like all that money went to more administrative stuff than actually going towards the teachers to help them with their necessary jobs. Because, you know, it's a very important job. One of those like underpaid jobs that you think they would get paid more, but like when you look at it, like, ouch, not really. That's why they made TV shows like, what's that one? You know, those TV shows where they try to make people feel better about the jobs they do, even though they're probably not as happy as their jobs because they're not making as much money. Like they like the job, but they just wish the job paid more. Maybe that's all of us. Maybe that's none of us. On the Taiwan semi earnings call, they said smartphone chip sales were down 27%. I bought more puts in Apple. Taiwan semi makes the majority of Apple chips. That means you know, what's interesting there too, if they're coming down a little bit on top of all this stuff with the India launch, that's really not a good sign. That means Americans aren't really buying them. But if you didn't see here, I think AT&T's earnings were not good. Maybe it'll find it out for me. I didn't dig too deep into this earnings report, but I think their stock was down like 10% or something like that, which is pretty big for AT&T, right? Well, it is. Peruse for a second. Bitcoin, guys, is just trying to do a small reversal here to pop up. We'll see if it really wants to. Short term here, you can just see this trend line right there. Trying to do that. If we can, it'd be pretty nice, but we've tried for a while and each time it got knocked back down. Maybe this is the opportunity that we've all been looking for when everybody on the East Coast is starting to go to sleep here. Still, oh, there he goes. AT&T shares slumped after its quarter one earnings report because the company missed analyst estimates for free cash flow and added fewer subscribers compared to the same period last year. Explain in detail. But I do know that most Apple phones and stuff like that, you know, they're sold at Verizon, AT&T. I'm an AT&T customer. I may eventually one day, I don't really care about the cost. I haven't changed it in years, but I always thought that maybe it'd be easier just for me to get like another service. But I don't even know if another service is necessarily better for like the quality and stuff like that. I just know I could get a shit ton of fees on this phone, and I'm like, why? Hey, Mike, am I buying or selling right now with Ethereum or Bitcoin? Day trading, you're probably trying to buy that breakout. If you get that confirmation, you're most likely trying to buy that breakout right there. Short trade. AT&T reported its first quarter results for 2023, which showed mixed performance across different segments of its businesses. Here are some key highlights from the report. There you go. Revenues, AT&T reported total revenues of $330 billion, for the first quarter, up 1.4% compared to $29.7 billion a year ago. In the year ago quarter. That's not bad. In the mobility segment, revenues are up 2.5%. That's not bad. Business wireline, let's see, experienced a decline in revenue by 5.5% year over year to 5.3 billion. The decline was attributed to lower demand for legacy voice and data services. Legacy voice and data services. Let's see. Consumer wireline increase in revenues by 2.5%. So what was the big bad thing here? I guess it's just free cash flow. I guess that's really the big thing. For the company reported free cash flow of $1 billion for the quarter. Operating expenses were okay, that's stable. Churn rates. Huh. Let's see. Hold on. Why was the I wonder why the cash flow was such a huge issue specifically for them, though. Normally, when I'm looking at stuff like this and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, usually cash flow is not the main reason unless there's some type of unless they're trying to they're over investing in something. You guys know that Facebook, Meta, back when it was crashing and like falling like a rock, that was happening because they were over investing into the metaverse. And what was happening for after that, they had to pull back on that, and their spending went down as a result of it. there's only like 200 million workforce in America. Those 200 million can only make so much money when there's 8 billion people in the world. Yeah. Well, remember, guys, America, we pay for the right to be an empire, the big dog. But historically, when you have an empire, this is something more of like, what was the, like, Great Britain before us, the Dutch before them, maybe Spain, then Portugal, then German, like, all these empires that were there, they usually were conquering territory pretty well. And then on top of that, they were siphoning resources from these areas. We're not that type of bad people anymore. So it's less lucrative to be the top dog. A lot of times it's good to be the second place guy, and then you just want to, you're trying to catch up to the first place. But once you're there, you're like, oh shit, it kind of sucks. Remember, I don't know how much Europe pays us to protect them. I don't know how much Japan pays us to protect them, or South Korea, right? It's we're paying for stability. We're investing in in stability. I think that's the best way to say it as far as America's viewpoint. It's just investing in stability doesn't always work out the way you would think it does. You guys know all the chaos going on in the world. I don't know if any of you guys have been seeing what's going on in Sudan, but Sudan, a civil war just started like that, and Nicaragua, where I'm looking to move next year, all of a sudden the United States is about to levy some heavy sanctions on them, and I'm just like, what the heck? I want to move there still. But if all of a sudden their economy turns to shit and stuff like that, maybe the crime rate spikes up a little bit, I might have to second guess that, and I might have to go to my backup country, which is Panama. Right? So there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. Brazil, they're partnering up with China more and more. Brazil is also partnering up with Russia a little bit. This American hegemony, it's not like breaking down, but you're seeing the cracks involved there, and it's because we're very nice. We're very nice, and we're not tyrannical, which is good, right? It's good, but it's not good business. What's that guy from Pirates of the Caribbean? Good business. Usually when we do all this stuff in the past, there was a price, right? And that price would go against one of the concepts that we view today as important, like free market concepts. For instance, let's say if we want to protect Japan, they can only sell their TVs to our companies, and our companies have the rights to sell their TVs across the world. That's what would happen. Now, Japan would suffer because of that, so we don't do that technically, but there are minor versions of it, I think I would say. But you guys get what I'm saying. We're much nicer of an empire. We've kind of transitioned. Remember how we used to talk about the American empire back when we were conquering Hawaii, the islands down by Florida by force, just shooting people, pew, 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 taking over Guam and stuff? We don't do that no more. When we invaded Iraq and the Middle East, normally we would conquer it, plant our little flag, start relocating people over there, and start building American society, culture, and forcing it upon the land. No, we were very nice about it. And so all that stuff is happening. We're nice about it. Like we have ethics, I guess is a good way to say it. I don't think I'm much of an ethical person when it comes to state issues. But I think that's just because I'm practical and I've played too many video games, and the video game mindset in me is not a good person when it comes to actually like doing realistic stuff for the world. But from a practical sense, we're paying a lot more money than we really should be, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. It's just not. I can rant about this stuff for a long time, but I can be very practical from all the video games I've played. Some of them are like really detailed video games, but some of them are just, I read books about the economy. I read books about the history of the world, how empires come and go, things like that. The YouTube channel Ray Diallo, forget his name, but he's a really good guy if you want to get into that type of stuff. But America just doesn't have the capability right now to speak softly and carry a big stick. That old saying, we're like speaking softly and we're carrying around the toothpick, and we're waving it around like, And, other countries are kind of just looking at us like, don't know what to do exactly. And part of that is because, again, we're not a consistent nation, because we kind of keep on having one president does this, one president does this. Remember, it's Democrat now. Before that, it was Republican. Then it was Democrat. Then it was Republican. Then it was Democrat. Then it was Republican. I think it was Republican. Then I think it was Democrat. It's we're all over the place over here. It makes it hard to plan for the long term. But yeah, there's no way they're going to tax all those people. There's no way. Remember, as soon as you start to overtax part of the population, they start moving a lot of their assets outside of the country, so it's a little bit more difficult to tax them. They will still be paying taxes, don't get me wrong. However, you're going to see a lot of that wealth that would have been reinvested back into America from like businesses, loans. Think of the big firms like Madrona, what was Silicon Valley Bank, where people can do seed rounds of it. It's not going to be happening this frequently. Those investments will be going into other nations. Now, will they go to China? Probably not, but I would suspect we might see some of them go to India. And some of these other sectors that are popping up, Saudi Arabia, a lot of money going in there. Similar type of stuff. And you got to sell on the daily for Bitcoin. 4-hour death cross on Bitcoin, and SPY is holding on. Bitcoin has definitely been getting shorted a lot more than the SPY, that's for sure. SPY, I mean, like they're trying to hold on here. Like, look at this, they're trying, but you definitely see that momentum is slowing down. We talked a lot about momentum yesterday. All that momentum is shifting back downward. I thought today might be a little bit more brutal, but honestly, guys, it was not a bad day at all as far as the traditional markets. Not a bad day at all. It's just sideways, boring, but that's not bad. Next week would have something that's going to happen here for all these people that kind of want some more volatility, because we talked about that guy and all the puts and the calls on the VIX. A lot of calls more and more in this circumstance here, but that guy probably lost like $1 million today just from the market going sideways. He still has 60 days out on his call, so he's probably the gal is not stressing about it. But you do see that like people are really expecting a very dramatic move to happen in the market, and they want to see that VIX start to really heat up here, like past $25-$30, when right now it's currently around 17, 18, I would suppose. But yeah, even going back over here to the dollar, we're still just sitting around here in the support zone. We still haven't even broken down. Because, guys, remember, traditionally, once we have this death cross here, traditionally, this is a kind of a weirder time, that's kind of it. We're there, we keep on falling, then we find a low for a while, then we eventually take our way back up. But that's way after we've had our death crosses over here, weeks and weeks and weeks. We haven't even come back down below the 200, right? And we haven't even had our first death cross between the 20 and the 200 way over here. Haven't even had that one yet. So if we start breaking back up, that's going to mess up this whole cycle, and that's going to make it last all the way until the late 2023. But again, going back over here, death cross is over here, breaking down below the 20 weeks, finding our support levels. We should keep on going down here, but if we mess that up, oof, it's not going to be pretty for us. It won't be terrible depending on how the overall economy is doing, but if you guys have noticed this, I don't know if you guys have, over the past like 5 days, all of a sudden, everybody on CNBC has been talking about a recession, and like how all of a sudden it's just going to come upon us. I've been talking about a recession, but I've given myself a huge swath of time to say, hey, this is why I think the recession is most likely. It's this quarter right here, quarter 2 of 2023 and quarter 3 of 2023, right? But CNBC all of a sudden was talking about how there was no recession for months and months and months and months and months. Now all of a sudden, everybody coming on, including the host, is like, oh yeah, there's a recession incoming. Oh, the Fed is saying there's a recession incoming. Now it must be true. Like, I've just been going nuts about it. Even if you go over here to CNBC, I think Kramer said there was going to be no recession, for what that means. There you go. Now all of a sudden it's a recession is coming, and stock markets won't come through unscathed, strategists say. These people change their minds so much. It's okay to trade a bullish trend within a bear market, in my opinion. That's how I personally feel, right? I've talked to you guys about this a lot. I still think we're kind of in for a bearish thing in the future, but at no point am I saying, oh my gosh, You know, this is the bottom is in and we're going sky high and stuff. Now that may be true. I'm not saying it's not, but personally for me, consistency is good. And if you change your mind, you better have a pretty goddamn good reason why you're changing your mind, because people like me, we plan for the long term here. We try to adjust our portfolios to kind of manage, to match what our strategies think, which is why I have all this cash on the sidelines and I'm waiting to invest it into the market. But I'm like, please, please, please don't let this be the bottom, because I would hate to have to buy now after the market's already rallied up so much and then start going in. I would not want to do that at all. But you can see right here, ooh, who are these people? Okay. The latest US economic data suggests a recession, but it says every time you've had the United States, you've had a recession. So I think it's coming, it's on its way. It's just a timing issue. Yeah, geez, I know we all suck at timing, don't we? But yeah, so let's see. Earnings expectations were too optimistic. That's not bad. But yeah, all of a sudden everybody is like, hey, there's a recession coming. Like, it's just the weirdest thing. It just drives me nuts the way they do it. Let's go over here to 1. Anything really popping off right now that I'd want to check on? Nothing. ID tokens coming down a little bit more, but everything else seems to be going sideways here. Let's go over here. Maybe I can just watch Bitcoin for a little bit. We haven't just watched Bitcoin for a hot second. Okay. Now this is something I want you guys to know about just while we're looking for charts. I think TradingView is working fine now, but you guys can't see it here. But right here, there's like a little alert sign, and it says data error. Okay, error. It says no real-time data. Our engineers are already investigating the problem. I think they just haven't removed it yet, but I have been seeing this for a while, and it kind of stopped me from doing some trading in the crypto realm today. So I think I'm receiving live data because everything is kind of moving up and down, and I checked it with KuCoin and Binance's, their main websites, and it seems to be matching up with it. But just in case you guys are seeing something different than me, which I don't think you guys are, I still have this little data error thing going on. How does looking at a 4-hour chart and a 15-minute chart work together? I have 3 screens up, 4-hour, 15-minute, and a 1-minute chart. I'm trading. How do they help each other? What am I looking for? How do they help? Okay, so traditionally when you guys are trading, you're usually trying to do, let's just break it down to 2 things really. Two twos is a 4, sorry. So 2 things here. You guys are either trying to find a bottom, buy the bottom, which is a very hard thing to do, or you're trying to trade buy low, sell high, or short high and sell low. Now, cover your position low. So most of the time when you're using that type of 3-pronged strategy, the easiest way to do that is to try to buy low, sell high, but not buy the bottom necessarily, buying what you think is a bottom. So the way you're going to be using these 3 different charts, and I'll show you an example right here. So for this, let's go over here. Let's actually just open up a new layout so it can be something like brand new, fresh. Let's do it with Ethereum. Normally we talk about Bitcoin, but Ethereum is pretty fine. So you have a 15-minute chart here. You said you also have a 1-minute. So let's go over here. Let's open up 3. So let's go 3, just like that. So let's go 15 and a 4-hour. All right. So let me make this size over here. Let's go over here and make it back to 100%. And let's start off with here with the largest time frame here, which is a 4-hour. And you have a few things you could look at. All right. So got this there. What else do I want to add on to this in the short term? Did this honor this one? Add on it right there. Okay, that's fine for now. And how much more do I want to do on this one? For safety's sake, let's just add a couple moving averages for you. It's always nice to have a moving average. And then let's add your typical MACD. And let's get these a little bit changed up a bit. Let's just make that thicker. I won't change the stats for now just because I don't want to waste too much of your time here. But 20 green thick. There you go. Lighter blue. And we're going to go over here to 50. Then we're going to go over here and we're going to make this 200 as normal. You can do any type of moving averages you like. I know a lot of you guys like the ones with a little bit smaller numbers because you guys like to do a little bit more day trading. Let's do this one. Okay, now add this indicator to the entire layout, add to the entire layout, we'll leave the volume on for now. And let's add this on to the entire layout. Okay, so if I go back over here to the threes, you're going to see all these same things on, okay? Now, the way you would use this is usually you start off with the largest time frame here. In this situation, you're looking at a Ethereum 4-hour chart. Now, let's just kind of go through something simple here. You have a traditional breakdown occurring after you saw the momentum. You guys can see this, I hope, yeah. After you saw the momentum shift on the MACD and you see the crossover right here. So what am I looking for at this moment in time? And you could always add other indicators onto this. This is your basic bread and butter day trading strategy. And you see how right there, the momentum stalled. So now at this point, you're most likely looking for short opportunities here, especially as you're having this divergence of having higher highs and having higher lows here as far as the MACD is concerned. So in your mind, everything after this, and this is just, my personal opinion, you're starting to see the slowdown from here, the moving averages slow down. And then right over here, you're starting to wonder, okay, well, what happens if we start breaking down below this support? Now, I see that support level is right here. It's currently at 2042. On the other chart, you don't need to have all this other stuff on there, but what you would want to do is go back over here to the 4-hour chart. And this is a hindsight trade, which makes it a lot easier. But, okay, there you go. Normally, you would do all this stuff on a 4-hour chart, then expand everything. Like you would do the layout stuff over here because it copies everything. But sometimes I'm not that smart when it comes to this stuff. All right, so you put this back to the 15-minute chart, and again, go back over here to the 1-minute chart. Do the same exact thing. Normally, you guys can make it a little bit faster. I'm just trying to teach at the same time, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Let's put the horizontal ray right there, somewhere on the same spot. Normally, you want to have everything measured out or have the magnet on, so everything's like more precise. So you got the 1 minute here. All right, there you go. So as soon as you start breaking down from either this trend line right there or this support level right there, you have a much stronger confirmation that stuff is going wrong. Like, we're in a downward trend, and then therefore, if you can kind of confirm that you're in a downward trend, which way are you most likely going to trade in that trend itself? So within this 4-hour trend of stuff going badly or going down, I should say badly, but just going down, if you do shorting day trades, you're more likely to win and make profits than if you were doing longs into a bearish trend. That makes sense? So once you guys, I'm trying to figure out a practical way to say this so you guys can see it in your everyday lives. When you guys hop on the road and you guys are going to a destination, you want to go with the flow of traffic, right? You don't want to go in the opposite lane. That doesn't do anything for you. It makes it very hard. You might crash. You may get liquidated, right? So that's why you kind of do it. So as soon as you have this breakdown right here, you might not even, you could short here for sure. If you're looking at the 15-minute chart and you want to do a short-term trade, you can definitely do that. But you can see right here as well, there's that support right there as far as that trend line we were talking about. But again, as soon as you have that confirmation there or there, whichever one you want to go for, right? Some people look for a 4-hour confirmation, some people look for a 15, 30-minute, 1 hour. The shorter the time frame from the confirmation, the less likely it is to make you profit. But usually it's more important about which support level you just broke down below. That's the way I think about it over just the length of it or the time frame. So now that you know, starting from here or basically here, that things are not looking so good as far as for the bulls, you can formulate more plans to say, hey, okay, well, we're going down. Let me find a good setup to start shorting, and I'll be happy to do so. So in this circumstance, you can see right here, we had a 4-hour close on the, on Ethereum, breaking down to about 1931, again, after the MACD switch over here. on the 4-hour chart though, you can see right here, we had a close on the 15-minute chart. This might have been an entry point to read to take. Normally, after you break down, we'll have a retest. This would probably be my personal choice to where I want to enter into the position. And then from there, I would wait and sit for a while because they're definitely going to be waiting for a while on this one. And you can see how we popped up all the way back up here, right? Your stop loss would have probably been here or here, depending on how much, how aggressive you were going to be. Now, just so you guys can have a realistic expectation, that stop loss is 1.78%. That stop loss is 2.79%. With a 5 or 10x leverage, that can be quite a bit. However, when you think about where you guys can go from there, of course, then you pull back out the 4-hour chart and you can see, hey, where's that next level of support? It's right around here, right? And right around here. You may even try to draw a little bit of a box from here to here or something like that. So when I go back over here to the 15, you may in fact have some type of price target here if you want to. Normally this is not going to be it because it wouldn't really register as far as your risk taking, you risk and profit taking. So you might actually have a position right here where you want to have your first target price. This may be your second target price. And therefore, you know, that's how I would do these types of trades right now as far as Ethereum and Bitcoin are concerned. I wouldn't be using the volume hardly at all at this point. I just don't use it too much. It's more of something I look at on the 4-hour or the daily charts, not so much on the smaller time frames, unless I'm really doing some scalping. And I don't do scalping too much unless it's entertaining myself. Okay, but you're usually confirming a trend, so you would be more likely to just do like shorts. Like as soon as I saw that we were in a trend like this on the 4-hour chart, I would not be going along in any situation. I just would not be going along unless, again, I was scalping, and even then, it's very risky. As far as the 1 minute, you're just doing that even to more in depth, but you're really just getting the precise measurements there. Like if you wanted to scalp, let me move that back over here. What's that drop off? There we go. Like the MACD is not going to help you out here at all. Maybe if you're scalping, you can see that first crossover right here. Then you had a little bit of divergence, but that divergence didn't do squat for a while. No, it didn't do squat. Kept on coming down. Again, this is a 1 minute chart. It's not the most powerful thing out there. But once you have that breakdown right there, you could have entered into that short right there and then played it down. And that short right there is going to last you about, depending on how far you think this is going to go, 2% for 12 minutes, 10x leverage, that's 20%, just 3 minutes, 5x leverage, just like, 10%. But you're not going to long. You're not going to long here. You're not going to long here. You're not going to long there. You're not going to long here. Even if I stretch this out, unless you're scalping, you're not longing during any of this, because not even there, because you understand that this position, this is the whole trend is pointing downwards. Don't go against the trend. That's why you have the multiple time frames there, to make sure you can completely understand the trend of what you're trading into. Let's go back over here, back to this chart very fast. So right now, if I was to do a trade, it'd be a scalp trying to trade this breakout. But you can even see how annoying this has already been, because we've already had a small breakout here and it hasn't done anything. Depending on how you want to look at it. Maybe if I take the log off, it's not even doing anything right now. But maybe it's more of a brick thing. I don't think I can do diagonal ones, but you get my point. Right? So normally what you might wait for instead is just give it a few more minutes or an hour or so, wait for the 20 moving average on this 15-minute chart to get a little bit closer to the 50 moving average on this chart. That'll give you a little bit more of an opportunity to have that big pop. And usually that correlates with something, and I just always forget. It's on a time frame I don't use. I think is it really the 30? No. I think it correlates to something with the hourly, if I'm not mistaken. By the time the 20 moving average gets over here, then it's ready for a pop. Let's see. This last time we had a big drop through that crisis. Yeah, we popped up a little bit later. No, it's stagnated still. I'm forgetting exactly which one it is, but you get the point. It's basically to help you confirm that trend. You want to confirm the trend of what you want to be trading into. It makes it so you're not doing a lot of false signals. Now, I've shown you guys strategies. I just put out a video today about how to use what's it called? Super trend. The super trend indicator can try to help you out a lot with this. So you can see some noisy signals in here on the hourly chart. Let's go over here to the 50-minute chart. This is Ethereum still. This is Bitcoin, excuse me. Let's go back over to Ethereum. There you go. You can see if you just followed this short or sell right there, worked out pretty well. Sell worked out pretty well, right? Well, there's some buy signals in here, but if you just knew that the trend was going down, then you could not obviously, but you might be more inclined to just say, I probably don't want to be buying right now because the overall trend is going down. And if you went to maybe the 4-hour chart, then you would see, whoa, this whole thing is actually going down. So sometimes these indicators can actually just kind of guide you to give you like a good idea of what type of trades you want to be doing. But even here, again, this is where some of that practical common sense comes into place. You can see we're all green, we're buy zone, buy way down here, we're all green. But do you want to be buying into heavy levels of resistance? Like, do you want to be day trading into heavy levels of resistance? No, not really. Even over here, do you really want to be buying into heavy levels of resistance? No, we still had some more time up here. So yeah, actually that would have been fine. Like over here, this is a better way to show it to you. Would you want to be buying into heavy levels of resistance? No, just no. Now, most of you guys would probably want to get rid of all this noise anyway. So you guys might do something more of the 55.1 strategy. So there you go. This usually gets rid of a lot of the noise. There you go. Yeah. See all those little tiny ones all gone. Let me turn off the Smart Money Concepts bundle here. But you can see right here, sell. You'd probably want to short into that momentum. You'd want to long into this momentum, short into this momentum, long into this momentum. So as you're doing those day trades within this 4-hour chart, you can see that, hey, you have a much better chance of making a profit. Like even if you were to flip a coin, even if you were to guess on this buy signal here, like not knowing it's going to happen here or here or here, if you just follow the direction, you follow the overall trend and hold, more times than not, you're going to make money. So it's just sometimes it doesn't work out and that freaks people out. Like here, this said a buy zone right here. Now, a few days from there, that actually would have made you money, but come on, we all like more profit. This was much more of a sideways market, which is like the death of day traders, right? Because we're all trying to find a way to make money when there's no way and we all feel pressured to make a trade. Eventually, this did keep on running up all the way up here to 1350 from the buy target, the buy spot of 1265. So what was that? That was about a profit at the very high of 7%. So you could have walked away with like maybe 3-4% realistically. Not many people get the top. If you are one of those lucky people, congratulations. But same over here, right? Sell over here, buy. Let me see what I want to find one where it really didn't work too much. Yeah, here's something where you see it kind of went green and then it kind of fell down a little bit. Sometimes people get stopped out there, and that's perfectly fine if you get stopped out because that stop loss might have been something like this right here, or this right there, or down right here. That first level might have got stopped out. That's pretty scary to see as soon as you buy, right? But what were you buying into? You're buying into the 200 moving average on a 4-hour chart. Do you want to buy into that resistance? Normally not. And when you look at, again, common sense, it requires all this other stuff on top of it. Broke out here, bounced off of that trend line support, and then you took off. Put your own personal experience in this as well, but just understanding the trend itself can be so useful when it comes to trading. Just understanding the general direction. And you guys don't need any fancy tools for it, but I mean, they're there for you. They're all here to make your life a little bit easier, I would say. But that super trend right there is definitely a good one. Adding the chart prime, Smart Money Concepts, whatever Smart Money Concepts tool you want to. Go for it, and then on top of that, you could add other stuff like the MACD we showed earlier, stochastics, the RSIs. As far as other indicators out there, maybe you want to use EMAs instead of SMAs. You can also add stuff like the whole suite indicator. Some of you guys just talked about the squeeze momentum indicator by Lazy Bear. There's the impulse MACD by Lazy Bear. Dochian trend ribbon is another one right there. Very basic. Most people don't want to use that one. I completely understand it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can add on, like Ichimoku clouds. I mean, there's a whole bunch. But basically, if you're a day trader, you just want to make sure you know that, like, for the next 12 hours or so, you kind of have a general idea of which way you're going. But You also just have to be aware of where those stronger support levels are going to be so you can try to make those trades. Right? Now, it is more risky to try to find the bottom. I think a good example of that was yesterday, where we had a bounce and we were talking about bouncing. Let's see. This is a 4-hour. Yeah, so we were talking about bouncing right here off of this resistance, or this old support level over here, and having a bounce again off of the 200. Now, that bounce lasted for about at least 4, 8, maybe 10 hours. And that might have been your short-term play there, but you understood going into that bounce, which is, again, what we talked about yesterday. Overall, it's a bounce and it'll keep on coming back down. It was just how much is it going to bounce? That was the question. But this is a much riskier trade than just saying, hey, let me follow the overall trend. And at the time, all you had was this trend that says, hey, we were going down. Not how fast we were going down, not like that. You just knew we were going down. Let's get this off here. Do that there, do that there. And I think we're back to business. Okay, let's go back to the 5-minute chart. Let's see if Bitcoin can finally break out or something like that. Okay, but yeah, hopefully that answered your question, but that's usually why I personally will have the different time frames on the charts. That way I can kind of see what's the daily trend, what's the 4-hour trend, what's the 5-hour, hourly trend, 30-minute trend, right? Because if you can go long and scalp into a trend that's an hour, like an hour-long bullish trend within a daily bearish trend, that's how you find more opportunities to trade. Usually, that's kind of if you want to go against the grain there, but most of the time, what I think most people do is if they go against the grain on a smaller time frame, like let's say there's a 1-hour bullish trend within a 4-hour bearish trend, well, they may be just watching that 1-hour bearish trend to find an entry position for a short on that 4-hour bearish trend. So that's the way I would characterize it. I can be very practical from all the video games I play. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can be very practical from all the video games I play. And I said books. I read a lot of books. But books are what do you call? Books tell you what history says and stuff like this, but there's a cost to it, right? There's a cost to everything you do. Like my community, I'm like 30% African American, and I'm like 30% European and 30% like Mexican or Hispanic or Central American, whatever you want to call it. But I grew up in the ghetto, so I consider my cultural background to be black. And I'm just black skinned. But what do you call? There's been a lot of help to try to help out African Americans, but at the same time, there's been like a side effect where they haven't been putting enough incentives to get African Americans to try to get out of that poverty gap that we're in, because the way they've invested the resources in a really weird way, if you ask me. So like one of the ways I was able to get out of the ghetto was not by financial help from the government. It was because, in a way it was because my mom was able to get a house after she broke her back, but my mom was working before she got hurt, so a little bit different how the funding works out. But anyway, my mom forced me to read books all day, every day, and she forced me to read dictionaries. So every time I had a question about like, hey, what does this word mean? She's like, hey, the dictionary's over there, right? I used to think it was because she was lazy and she didn't know the word herself, which may have been it. But, in reality, she was just trying to get me to start learning all this stuff. And so afterwards, I got accepted into private school after being like an honor student at an elementary school. Then I realized how stupid I really was compared to all these geniuses that go to the private schools. But I got into the private school on scholarship because I passed the entrance exam. I got the scholarship to go to the school. And then from there, I went to college and loans and stuff. Sorry, Elon Musk just sent a text, a tweet or a target or something. But there's no clear way to get our people out there. And most people don't know how to teach their kids, I guess, how to do the same thing. It's a very weird concept. But you think practically there's probably a very brutal, not even brutal, just like callous way to talk to African Americans about like, hey, get your family together and you can be more prosperous. But you don't want to say that. Probably freaking offend the crap out of them, right? I talk about this with my black friends, and we all talk about how we all like came out of poverty in all different random ways, but none of it was like the traditional way you would expect it to. As far as the system, just like helping you out, you got to do it outside the system because the system tries to put you in a box to make you go down a certain path. I'm not really much of a box guy. I think it's my ADHD, but I do not like to be told what to do. I have a sense of arrogance that is unmatched when it comes to workers and stuff like that. Don't forget, we've enjoyed smacking that big stick around in the past. Now, like you said, that's a toothpick, but we want to act like we have a big stick still. I think that's a good way to say it. Yeah, we just aren't pushing our weight around. Like right now, the Saudis keep on doing pimp slaps on America, like, oh, slap there, slap there, slap there. And all I'm waiting for is like, Biden has some sticks to slap back at. Like, he doesn't even have to slap us. He can send Kamala Harris out there to do smacking for him, but he's just not doing it. Remember, like, I think people forget that we are a great power. America is a great power. We might not flaunt it, but we do have power here. But we'll have to see. I don't. Yeah, we just don't flaunt that power. We need to start showing it off a little bit more here, beyond just the drills and stuff. I remember Obama was droning everybody left and right in the Middle East. Trump was dropping the Moab bombs all over the place. That little tingle, that little that little bit of fear. I don't think that we have it at this moment in time, and we need to use it for economic gain. That's the whole point, for economic, for American prosperity. But again, that's kind of callous. So maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm a pretty callous person when it comes to stuff like this, or the hypothetical state actions, I guess is what I would call it. Wait for a black swan event, and then when everyone's in fear. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, Patrick. I totally missed what you said right there. And AB Supreme, I would be very interested to see what happens when it comes to those tech earnings. I would expect them to still be fairly good, to be frank. I mean, AMD and Nvidia, I would still expect them to be fine. It's more of like what happens with the Apples and the Googles and the Microsofts and stuff like that, which may cause a little bit more hesitation. But there's going to be a mixed bag, I would say. I don't think it's going to be all doom and gloom. But yeah, I would like to wait for a black swan event before doing another buy-in. Remember when inflation was transitory? Now it's about a recession. I believe when we had 2 quarters of negative GDP, we were in a recession. Yeah. So this one's kind of hard to talk about because technically we were in a recession, and now we're not in a recession, but we're probably going to go back into a recession again from the economic standpoint of the 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, because we did have 2 positive quarters of GDP growth over the last 2 quarters. Here's the thing. I'm trying not to get canceled here, but I don't trust media that I see on TV all too much. I view it as a form of entertainment while also just getting a gist of what's going on. CNBC said there was no recession, even though we fit the technical description, definition of a recession. Remember, the negative 2 quarters of GDP growth. When that happened, the news all acted like it wasn't there. And then they said, oh, this isn't a recession. This isn't a recession. This isn't a recession. So I don't know how they're going to try to justify it again if we do go back into 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, because last time they said, oh, this wasn't a recession with two negative quarters of GDP growth. So if I go over here and I just do, maybe this is it. There we go, right? So let's go over the last 3 years. We don't need to worry about 2020 so much. Oh, this is last 3 years. Never mind. You guys can stay. Okay. So coming out of COVID, we were growing because people just could actually leave their house without being, accosted by people saying, go back inside of your house if you don't have anything to do, right? I took a walk to my local park because remember, I used to live in downtown Tacoma back when I first started doing YouTube. Um, maps. Yeah. So remember, I used to live literally right here at these Bayside apartments because I like the view of the water. So I used to be able to walk right here to the local park and go out. Literally, I was yelled at by some nurse at the hospital over here for walking outside. Now, I kept on walking outside and flipped her off. However, I felt guilty because she was like a first responder and everybody was like, oh my God, first responders are so important, right? But what do you call it? It was insane how, like, you know, you were really not supposed to go do stuff. So once all of that kind of ended, well, I started walking back over here. I started getting breakfast at the Art House Cafe. I started going over here to Indo-Asian Street Eatery, who has some amazing food. I started walking over here to there's a good restaurant. What's it called? It's La Selle Bistro. What? This is my favorite place to walk. I showed you guys pictures and I did live streams from here every now and again. It doesn't look like much from the front, but basically they have some really good food. Yeah, there you go. Look at all that good food. Oh, look at all that good food. It's like a bougie, expensive place, but it's just good food. But anyway, I was able to go spend all that money. And you guys have to remember that any money that I spend, like any American spends, anybody out there spends, it's usually pretty much just going to somebody else's salary. And all that money is flowing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right? Now, some people get paid by businesses, which is a little bit different, like business to like they own their own business, but most people are usually an employed person. So when I go out and I spend, I just spent, I have a picture of it. I don't remember how much it costs, but I probably should because it was more money than I should have spent. Okay, here you go. Yeah, so yesterday I just bought this, so I have another microphone here for my channel, and I got something that helps makes my voice sound a little bit better because I'm going to be start doing podcasting with other people and, you know, talking with other people and joining their stream. So I want to make sure I have a premium mic. However, in order to do that, I spent a total with tax of $707, but without tax, $643 will be going to this business. Now, that's going to pay for some guy that maybe makes 28 bucks an hour. That's paying for the salary of another person that makes 20 bucks an hour plus upkeep costs and everything like that. All that money sloshing around. That was a really big boon and what actually caused a lot of this, you know, this huge move in the GDP. You can see how crazy it was back over here in 2020, and you can see what happened. Remember, we had this really big opening and backup moment, but then we kind of constricted again because what happened? There was this weird thing where the president, Biden at the time, this was very, very weird, and I don't blame him for it because I thought he was more optimistic about it, which I think was everybody was optimistic about getting over with COVID. He said that COVID was over or something to that effect, but cases started to come back up, and then all of a sudden they was like, "Oh no, you can't go back outside yet. We need to figure this out. We can't put too much stress on the hospitals, stuff like that. We don't want the kids to get sick at schools, that type of stuff, right?" I don't want to get too much into this. It's a hot topic. But we had some really good growth for a while. And then after we formally opened back up, because I think there was like so much drama about it. Remember the guy, the French Laundry dude, Gavin Newsom, people in government power, you know, just being hypocrites and going out and doing fun stuff while everybody else was told to stay at home. So, you know, we had a consistent growth for a while. And then all of a sudden, inflation started to hit, right? Inflation, people panicking, people starting to stop spending money because everything was just so expensive. Remember Russia-Ukraine war, all that type of stuff. So in long story short, we did have 2 negative quarters of GDP growth. This right here is a recession. That is a recession. But everybody just kind of glossed over it. But that's because they're what you might call, I don't even want to know if mainstream media is the way to say it, but just legacy media. The media that's not on Twitter and TikTok that can be frank with people. The one that has like a really crazy bias for corporations. It's a corporate bias. It's not like it's necessarily a Democratic bias or Republican bias, although you can see those lanes there, I guess. It's more of a corporate bias, I would say. So when we were looking at all this, you saw them all say, "Oh no, it's not a recession. Everything's fine." And big point here is like recession poll. This is from March 6th. Nearly half of Americans think we're in a recession, and that's now. Let's go back over here. 2022. This is from November of 2022. Here's why 75% of likely voters think we are in a recession. They didn't care. They just kept on saying we're not in a recession. Let's go over here very fast. This is CNN. This is probably one of the people I'm talking about when I don't trust their coverage here. But you can see right here, a new CNN poll shows that 3/4 of likely voters feel that the U.S. economy is in a recession. It's probably not, but that's not the point. The fact that they had to say this, it's probably not, but that's not the point. Inflation. They blame people feeling like it on inflation. That's part of it. That's a huge part of it. But jobs, the labor market is a bright spot. It's a weird thing when you think about the job market, I would say, in the U.S. because I have a friend who got fired from her last job, and it took her like 4 months to find a job, and she was a highly qualified corporate, I don't even call it, office worker that does the hiring, firings, administrative work, HR work. There you go. But 4 months to find a job. So the economy is maybe good if you want to find a warehouse work, but I don't even think warehouse work is in high demand. I just don't know. But not about warehouse work. But yeah, you guys can feel that, you get the idea that it's not as rosy as the government and the media is trying to portray. When there's that disconnect, people usually get really upset and they get mad because there's this feeling, and rightfully so, I would say, that nobody's listening to them. And I think that's what actually happened when that caused Trump to win in 2016. What do they say? The forgotten woman, man, whatever. I was in Montana at the time, at university in Bozeman. So there was a lot of Trump supporters over there, and we're still kind of doing the same thing again. I don't think we're learning from our mistakes as far as how to communicate with the people properly and explain what's going on. Because saying there was no recession, that was like the biggest bold-faced lie. And yeah, now they're going to have to admit it a little bit here, but they're not going to admit it the way you want them to, which is a very, the good way to do it. Say, hey, we were in a recession before, now we're not in a recession, but we think we're going to hit a worse recession later in 2023. That's the way you kind of format it, and you can adjust a little bit more. I'm not a press secretary. I don't know how to say this stuff with elegance, but a press secretary would probably lie, but I guess they do, right? But you get the point here. Like if I were to go over here and what's it called, guys? Let's just go to the Fed rate charts. Effective rate. I think this is it. Okay. So you guys can see this right behind me. You can see these little grayed out areas. And let me take my head off of here very fast. So you can see these all of these grayed areas are recessions. Recession here, recession there, there. From the government right now doesn't even acknowledge that we had a recession. Let's go over here very fast. Remember, we had 2020, but if you go back to see that data that we were looking at earlier, which I don't have anymore, but I can just go right here to trading economics, right? That recession that was right there just for a blip, which it was a recession, it's not there. They're not showing that it's there. So, it's a little bit of a disingenuous from the government, but government bureaucracies are more political than I think we give them credit for, right? So, it's, Patrick, we don't live in a good society like that where they're going to be honest about it. But at least if we do go into another recession, I do think people will start to have a clearer understanding of stuff is not going well. And maybe when the government and the bureaucracies are kind of forced to admit that things aren't going well, maybe they'll start to make substantive change to get the economy back on track. I will say it's a little bit more tricky this time around because we have inflation. You can't spend your way out of inflation. You can, but it's very difficult. And that leads to more inflation in the short term. So, it's not like Jerome Powell can go over to Congress and say, hey, can you stop wasting all this money? Pretty please. They'll laugh at him. And they'll maybe fire him. But you get what I'm saying. I'm thinking of buying SOX S daily 3 semi-bear ETF. I mean, the bear ETF seems interesting, but let me I want to take a peek at what it's always with me. It's always the makeup of it. That's always like what is it made up of? Might as well just go to their website. Oh, okay, target index. All right. So ICE Semiconductor Index is a rules-based modified float-adjusted market capitalization weighted index that tracks the performance of 30 of the 30 largest U.S. Listed semiconductor companies. Big thing is semiconductors, in case you guys don't know. Most people don't invest in stuff like this, but it's a good one. Well, usually on the other side. That's good to long usually. One cannot directly invest in an index. Nvidia 8%, Texas Instruments 8, Broadcom 8, Advanced Micro Devices 7, Qualcomm 5.5, or Intel 4. So maybe some fees in here if you would go down through them, but I doubt you will. Didn't know I had a dividend with it. So, okay, based off of that, what I'd really be looking for is AMD and Nvidia. Those are going to be the big movers of this thing. Usually Intel, as you guys know, is very, very boring. Intel is for those people who like to trade in ranges. We can go over some of these very fast. Intel, there you go. All right, this is all the way from 2000. 2000, it should have gone much higher by now. And look at Apple from the year 2000. See how it kind of went up? Intel is not doing any of that type of good stuff. Intel's really just been going sideways here. Although it did have a little bit more of a breakdown, you could see over the past few months, year or so. This is back in 2020, guys. So like 2021, we sort of fall back down here, just back over here to 2015 levels. But that's looking pretty bearish. Going back over here to AMD. AMD's running into some resistance right now, but not looking too bad. So let me. These are monthly charts, by the way, as well. Okay, so you're seeing some resistance kind of match up. Use my drawing tool right around here. Right around here. That's not bad. Let's go hop over to the daily one. Yeah, mixing right there. Oh yeah, you're looking pretty close to a death cross right here. This is something I'd be fine with. You're gonna see this breakdown pretty fast. Kind of watch for that breakdown right here. Unless it, I'd probably wait for that breakdown though, because that curve is gonna happen right there before there's that death cross. But if it starts breaking out there, you want to make sure you're not on the wrong side of that. If because you're going to be on the 3x short. Now, as far as Nvidia, this one's hugging resistance levels before it has to deal with some of the support levels over here. Although this is a little bit off there, but that's fine. Not as bearish, I would say, as AMD, and I wouldn't even say AMD was totally bearish, but you are seeing it peak a little bit and that momentum just slow down. If you wanted a dollar cost average into something, this would be it, right? Or the thing you're talking about, the SAXS. But just be aware that if we have one more pop, you may take some more time for you to really get some good cost out of it. But as something that you might want to hold on for a while, like a month or two, maybe 3 months, it's a pretty solid choice if you ask me. mostly because I think that Nvidia and AMD are going to be coming down hard, and some of this other stuff will come down, maybe not as much, but usually when you're looking at stuff like AMD and Nvidia, it's because they've come up so much and they're just so volatile. So from the October lows here, basically, guys, it's up around 158%. You come over here to AMD from the lows, it's up about 90%. And then you see other stuff over here like I don't know, Intel from the lows, up about only 37. So I can expect it to come down, but the weight of which it comes down is not going to have that much of an overall effect on it. But yeah, I think it'd be a solid choice to be trading that one there. I'd probably dollar cost average into it though, to be frank, just because you don't know if there's going to be one more pop or not. And my gosh, how strong of a downtrend is this? This is kind of crazy. We should have already broken out of that a while ago. If Bitcoin bounced up at this level, what do you see it bounce up to? I think it's what the 4 hour 20. Yeah, the 4 hour 20 up here, I might bounce back up to maybe something around $28,000 or so. I don't think it would break above this level of resistance here, but somewhere within this little gap, right around there, on the higher end, maybe around $28,000. If it went any higher than that, I'd be surprised, but I mean, anything's possible. I'm watching this death cross about to happen as well. Why am I getting all these messages all of a sudden? Back over here to the 15. Yeah, that's what I'd be looking at there. And hey babyfish, 25,000. I would love to see us test out 25,000. I think we managed to hold it pretty well. I was talking with Tom, and I know Tom Crown. He had a strategy. I think he shared it with me, but I know he put it on his Twitter account. I don't want to show private messages. Not Tom Crown, not Tom Cruise. Twitter. Not Tom Brady. All right, so March. Oh, I don't think he put it up there. Oh, wait, no, April 17th. Okay, here. No. He thinks we're going to bounce. I think the bounce we already broke through the bounce point, but I think he was saying that we're going to have a big move up to like 40,000 or something like that. So, you know, if you're kind of in that ball camp, you may be looking at something more of a higher bounce, you know, coming up pretty soon, maybe even at $25,000. For me personally, I still think we have to have a little bit more of a pullback. All of a sudden, I hear the fear machine waking up on CNBC. When that fear machine wakes up, usually we're pulling back a little bit more, as well as we're seeing the VIX. So, you know, my technical analysis is coming more from NASDAQ and the SPY, and less of just looking at Bitcoin's price. Because Bitcoin is still in a pretty general uptrend. If you look at it from week to week, we're still in a pretty good spot. Short term, though, we could definitely dip down a little bit more. Hey, GT, if the government deems most crypto a security, does that mean they will only be able to be traded on the stock exchange? No, you would have the exchanges would just have to abide by different rules, I guess. The problem with the regulation is that it's just the rules aren't consistent. But if everything's a security, then the exchanges would be held to the same standards of what we see, you know, for TD Ameritrade and all that type of stuff. But I just don't think the bureaucracy is there to support such an industry. Like, if you go look at some of these crypto bills that have been put out, or just kind of looked and see how your local senator or House representative talks about cryptocurrency, it's not usually the most flattering, flattering dialogue that you hear from them on Capitol Hill. So I just wouldn't assume that there's tons of people in the bureaucracy that truly understand how cryptocurrency works. remember we had talked about some of this stuff over the past few days as we've kind of heard this last hearing where the Republicans went after I'm thinking of Greg Hardy, but it's not Greg Hardy. Gary Gensler very, very hard, and he looked like a complete fool. But the Republicans were kind of surprisingly kind of learning more about crypto. You can kind of hear the way they're talking about things. They kind of had a better understanding. And I think Democrats overall are getting more of an understanding there too. I think right now it's more of how do we try to get this regulation through. But you know, there's maybe like when I say Democrats, but it's like handfuls of people. There's there's however a couple hundred House members, right? And only like 100 senators. Most like overwhelmingly most of them have no idea how cryptocurrency works, and the fact that they would try to legislate a bill on it is laughable. Which is why they technically outsourced it to Sam Bankman-Fried before he got caught with doing all this fraud. So they're getting there, but there's no way they can regulate what they don't understand, and there's no way the bureaucracy can enforce such rules when they don't understand it. I mean, at this point, most of the work I would say probably like all the illegal stuff goes to the FBI, and the FBI probably has a huge backlog of stuff they have to deal with, a massive backlog. But again, there's only so many people that can work with the blockchain and understand it and understand cryptocurrencies and exchanges and how they work. They're not going to go work for the government. Like, most people that have a passion for working in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, they like it because government is not involved. Nobody wants to go work for the man and be part of a corporate drone, or a government drone. Nobody wants to do that. Maybe the pension's really good though. I don't want to go through another lockdown. I remember so much weirdness. The lockdown was terrifying. Like I had mental health issues from that lockdown. Like the fact that they tried to lock, and I had a very nice apartment. I was all by myself. That was probably one of the bad things there. But I had neighbors. Like every other day, I took the trash out for one of my neighbors, Barb. So I got to talk to people. But it's just that lockdown was freaking terrible. It was just so terrible. I'm surprised they let it go on for so long. At a certain point, I just gave up on it. I said I'm going outside. That's why I flipped off the nurse when he was trying to tell me to go back inside. I was like, no. Everybody needs a little bit of fresh air. They need to go out and walk. You can't be inside of your apartment for so long. And that was one of the reasons that I actually started my YouTube channel. I needed a way to communicate with people, and I was like, okay, well, I'm trading here, not really doing much. I'm just making a living, but like, what good is money if you can't spend it on stuff that makes you happy? Money, to a large degree, does buy some happiness. It makes happiness a lot easier. And not being able to spend it, it was very, very weird. I was gaining weight like crazy. It was not a pleasant thing. And so what do you call it? Yeah, that nobody ever wants to go back to those lockdown days. They were crazy. There was a bunch of protests going on. I couldn't leave my apartment because there's like a special driveway to leave and be blocked in with people protesting something going on in the world. And I was like, I don't like protesters by nature. Like when I go downtown Seattle to go buy something, like last time I went to go buy something was I think I bought my mom a shirt from Nordstrom's or something. But I was trying to just walk to Nordstrom's and this huge freaking protest parade came pouring through, and I was just like, I sighed. It didn't do anything, but I just kept on walking, and people were like, you should join the parade. You should join us, and I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm here for actual stuff, I shouldn't have said it like that, but the lady was not happy that I said it like that. But usually, I don't know. I'm not an energetic person. You guys know that. I'm not a guy that goes, hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Last time I think I did that, I was at a Seahawks game and then maybe a cheer at a Mariners game. It's usually a sporting event that gets me real riled up to have some, but yeah, not at a parade. No matter what the parade is about, it's usually not something I'm totally excited about. Remember the congressman saying the internet is a series of tubes? Oh yeah. Oh geez, I remember that one. I don't know. I have no faith in them figuring it out. But again, like we've talked about some of the bills over here, right? Is there uh Which crypto bill is, which crypto bill has the best chance of success, right? What? No, bill. Um, Crypto regulation bill. Here we go. Okay. So Emmer, this is the one that Emmer introduces bill to provide regulatory clarity for the blockchain system. This is Minnesota's 6th. I don't know if he's Democrat or Republican, but you guys could, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter, but usually, you know, if there's going to be more or less regulation on it. But this is a bill that was introduced last month. So what's the bill? Oh, the bill is available here at the very bottom. Why don't they just give us the bill? Okay. So to provide a safe labor and licensing and registration for non-controlling blockchain developers and non-controlling blockchain developers, provide providers of blockchain services. Wait, this is 4 pages. Let's see, protection for non-controlling blockchain services and software developers. No blockchain developer or provider of a blockchain service shall be treated as a money transfer. Oh, that's kind of cool. As defined under state licensing laws, a financial institution as defined under section 5312 of Title 31 United States Code or any other state or federal legislation designation requiring licensing or registration. Yeah. This is like small little piggy stuff. And intellectual property law, nothing in this section shall be construed to limit or expand any law pertaining to intellectual property. That's because somebody might sue about it later on. Nothing in this section shall be construed. Oh, so this is nothing really changing here. This is just a small amount of stuff. That's not really a big bill. Loomis Gillibrand, Responsible Financial Innovation Act. Why do they always name it like weird stuff like that? But it's a Republican from Wyoming sponsoring it. And I thought it said Gillibrand. And Gillibrand is the Senator Democrat from New York, I believe. And wow, so this is a biggie. Yeah, this is more of a big one. Okay. Let's see if I can go over here to ChatGPT and it does it for me. Let's see if it actually takes it. What? I'm unable to access external websites. No, that's not true. You go to websites all the time. Well, let's go here. It's going to browse it and it'll give us some updates here and then we'll be good to go. Bitcoin is finally breaking out here, or at least trying. We know we tried to break out from that smaller one right there. But it definitely feels like it wants to have a short-term little pop, and you're seeing altcoins kind of pop up on top of that. Everything else is pretty mixed, though. I mean, Leo's up 1.5%, but Leo's not something you want to hold for too long. Ethereum Classic is up almost 2%. That's nice. You can see a little bit of a rally. Ran back up into resistance here, and then it kind of broke through, smashed back down. Wowza. Oh yeah, this wasn't really too big of a level of resistance and support. It was just a smaller one from a while ago. You see that breakdown there. Yeah, but everything seems like it wants to take a little bit of a pause here before it keeps on breaking back down. And yeah, the banking crisis over there, nothing too maddening. But you do have access to the full text of the bill. It's all here. All of it. All of that freaking bill. It's freaking there. Holy moly. I don't know how to actions introduce to Senate. That's it. It says 4 all actions. Read twice and referred to the Committee on Finance. This is back in 2022. Hearings held on it. Committee of Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. More hearings about it in 9/15 September. Then another one back in November. Nothing is. So this isn't getting passed. It must not have enough votes. If it's, let's talk about it. It's been sent to committee. Remember Star Wars? It's been sent to committee. That's basically what's happening here. Yeah, part of 2 committees though. So what's the committees? Senate Finance and Senate Banking. Yeah, that makes sense. There you go. You could protect him. You could protest for Black Lives Matter, but not lockdowns. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was weird. I totally forgot about there was like protest for one thing. Yeah, there was. Oh, dude, we're weird. We're weird out here, man. We're weird. I don't know. We're just weird. I don't know. So I don't like Black Lives Matter protests. I like being in them because like people look at me with pity for being black, and I'm like, dude, like I'm doing quite well in life. I'm pretty happy. Yeah, cool. I was once, you guys know I like premium deli meat. So I will go to the store. I showed you guys where I used to live, right park. So there you go. So I used to live right here, remember? So right there next to the cool castle school. So right here, just again, a couple blocks away, there's a store, and it's called Stadium Thriftway. And if I move my little logo thing over here, if I can find it, there you go. It's this nice little store. In the summertime, they have barbecue grills out, but most of the time it's just, fruit, overpriced inner city food, right? It's where all the locals here go. It's very high quality food, but they have some really good salami meats and stuff like that. But the salami meats are in a part of the store that's right there. All right. No. Yeah. Is that? Yeah. Right there. Right there. So you can't go in this way. It's emergency exit. But the point is, I was just getting my food there. I was getting some roast beef, some ham. I whenever I go there, I get my mom some cut, like a premium Italian cuts like prosciutto and salami and the Genoa salamis and stuff like that. And some cheese. Like, I'll get her the brick of cheese so she can chop it up and have crackers and stuff. So I was there getting my mom some stuff, getting me some stuff, and I was getting a sandwich there, both at the same area. Some lady came over to me and was like, "I am so sorry for what everybody has been doing to you. I didn't know. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "What? Nothing's happened to me. I'm fine. And what do you call? And for like good 3 minutes, this lady was just crying next to me and saying things are gonna get better for you. Things are gonna get better. And I again, like I knew she was coming from a place of goodness, I think. But my anxiety, me being like having like ADHD, like my brain was not processing any of this, and I was just getting madder and madder. She never knew I was mad, because I can play it off very well, but I just had no freaking idea what to do, and I just kind of froze. I don't like this type of shit. It does not make me feel good. I just want to be part of the crowd. I don't want to have a sign above my head in the crowd, if that makes sense. Oh God, freaky. It was weird. Very, very weird. Gary testified that he taught many classes on cryptocurrency, but he has never bought or sold it or used any blockchains. What a clown. Like, it's so weird how they do that. I don't even know. The class must have been not too good of a class then. Because part of a cryptocurrency is just owning it, like just having it, using it, testing it out. Like just to see how it works, see how it benefits compared to using the traditional banking system. I think it would open up a lot of eyes out there to how the system is better. I bet you probably see a lot of bureaucrats in DC talking about this stuff. They have to deal with it, behind the scenes. they're probably like, man, this is going to change the world, but how they do it is going to be, I don't know, it's going to be regulated. So you're going to probably see a digital dollar pop up from the government. That'll probably be forced upon as the standard in the future. So when it comes to Tether and USDC, they're probably in trouble in the long term, because that digital dollar is going to be there. So once we have that digital dollar, then we can start having those transfers very, very easily, but that they're going to be done on the blockchain that are owned by banks. So, and banks are going to be more than happy to just buy all those systems when they're built out instead of actually making them themselves. So I think that's probably the way we're going to go as far as banking is concerned. And I think XRP is going to be one of those ones that understands how to do everything. They're going to partner with a whole bunch of banks. They're going to make a lot of money off of it. And one of the reasons why I hold XRP. I used to not hold it as much because the lawsuit stuff. Another lawsuit, I've been dollar cost averaging back into it. But yeah, it's a lot of just weird stuff going on with them right now as far as what the government's really looking for. And hey, GT Michael, I'm here for actual stuff. Yeah, pretty much. It was a weird time. When will we see the next bull run? I'm still saying the next bull run doesn't come until 2024, but I would still say 2023 is the time to load up on your positions. 2023 is the year of buying. Buy. Heck, even 2022 towards the end of it was a good opportunity for buying. Now, just dollar cost average, do some day trading, do some swing trading. But for those of you guys who don't want to actually do trading, just dollar cost average into your positions and let them kind of hold, maybe move them over to a wallet that you feel is safe. So there's always that there. But for me, it's 2024 still. I haven't changed my position on this at all. This last rally has made me nervous. You guys can tell about like, oh my God, are we really going to go up? But I'm sticking to my guns that the economy is going to make Bitcoin go back down. If the economy has no bearing on Bitcoin, then we'll have to wait and see. But I think Bitcoin overall is going to follow the general direction of where the stock market is going. So if the stock market, which I think is going to go hit new lows, I think Bitcoin I think it will hit new lows, but maybe it doesn't. But it comes back down close, even if it does hit those new lows. See, yeah. As far as that breakout, yeah, most likely, Monica, Dr. V, it would definitely be more of a breakout opportunity here for me. I would probably place my stop loss probably around 27,230, or if you want to get a little bit more extreme, 27,150. I think 27,230 or maybe just 27,200 is going to be a little bit better of a spot for a stop loss. That way you can catch some of this momentum coming up. And then probably it might be like a 2 to 3 hour hold at this pace, because we're not really seeing a lot of buyers rush in at this point, but you're seeing this downtrend break, which is a pretty good sign. So you might see a bit of consolidation on a sideways move. Then all of a sudden you're going to see somebody come in here and boost it up, and that's where you're probably going to start taking your profits off of it. Let's go over here. Shouldn't be too bad. Okay, everybody, I'm going to call it a night. I know comments have been slowing down here a little bit, and I know all of you guys want to go out and do some stuff for your Friday. I'm going to smoke a cigar and probably, I got to take Loki outside. He hasn't been outside all day today. I've been having to help my mom all day with this caregiver stuff. But keep your eye out on everything. Understand we're still in this downtrend here. We're still coming down, right? However, maybe we were lucky and we have a pop coming for today, since the stock market's not going to be coming, not going to be interfering with us. Watch closely, though. When we break down below these moving averages, they do tend to be a little bit more volatile. We are close to a moving average. Expect a little bit more volatility there, okay? Take your time, be proactive, but just be safe and manage your risk appropriately, okay, guys? Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. Make sure to check out some stories in my newest videos out there. I've been posting new videos, and it helps with the channel a lot if you guys will watch those videos from beginning to end. It helps out the channel a lot. Thanks, everybody.